Arsenal versus Liverpool, Premier League post-match reflection through the Canon lens. So reflecting on Arsenal versus Liverpool at the Emirates under the lights, I thought, starting lineup, great to have Saka and Trossard coming for Martinelli and Madueke. Great to see our strong squad depth. Great starting lineup and great bench. I felt we had enough in that team to go out and get the win. So thoughts on the first half. I felt we were more in control of the game in the first half. We dictated the possession more. I do feel, however, Liverpool did have spells, and the best chance they had was Bradley hitting the crossbar. That was probably the most clear-cut chance in the first half. I felt we had chances, but they were more half chances. That was my thoughts on the first half. Going in at half time, I was just thinking, you know what, it's 0-0 at half time. We were on top in the first half, but we didn't make the most of our spells that we had. But at the same time, we could have gone 1-0 down when Bradley hit the crossbar. So I was just hoping in the second half, we raise the levels, and when we get our chances, we take them. So thoughts on the second half now. Massive dip in performance in the second half, surprisingly. I felt Liverpool had the better second half. Was very disappointing considering I felt there was enough incentive to go out there in that second half and get the win. The 0-0 draw feels more like a 2 points dropped, in my opinion, because I felt we could have really stretched our lead at the top. 8 points lead at the top. I felt that would have been a massive step towards us, getting our hands on that Premier League trophy. I know it's still early and there's a long way to go, but I felt 8 points at the top would have filled me with more confidence going forward. So analysing the players' performances now. So it wasn't the best sort of second half performance, but I would say overall, Raya had a comfortable game, not really tested much. Defence, the whole back line, the whole back four for me were generally solid, but MLS came on for Hikape, did okay. Midfield three, I thought they had average games today. They weren't the best, but they did okay. Eze came in for Odegaard, did okay. Didn't really have the impact we was hoping for. Attacking wise, Saka I think looked the most lively out of the three. He tried to make things happen. He was very direct and attacking. And Gyökeres, for me, didn't have the impact we hoped for. The situation now is starting to get concerning regarding Gyökeres. I always get behind my players, but I do feel, I don't know if it's not working because he's not fitting into how we play or we're not playing to him. I'm not sure. I'm still kind of working that out, but maybe in the next game we might need some change going, refresh it up front, maybe give Jesus a start, or also maybe Havertz come back in. Question marks about Gyökeres at the moment. It's very concerning. And Trossard looked lively, had a great game. I felt he had a good game. Subs Madueke came in for Saka. He looked lively. He was very direct. He's always direct when he comes on. I think he's a good impact player to bring off the bench. And Jesus came on for Gyökeres. Didn't have the impact he usually has, but it's always good to have Jesus coming on with his fresh energy. Martinelli obviously on for Trossard. He looked lively. He did take on his man a couple of times. But, he didn't have the impact again that we hoped. Regarding what he did at the end of the game to Bradley, I thought that was not acceptable. I'm not going to support and condone that behaviour, but I feel he's come out and apologised. So maybe he didn't know the extent of Bradley's injury. But I'm against that. I think it's about, fair play, playing, treating everyone with respect. But they're my thoughts on the players. My man of the match today, I'm going to give it to Saka. I felt he posed the most threat going forward, in my opinion. I thought, he was the only one that I felt looked like if we were going to get a breakthrough, it would come from him. Thoughts on Arteta, I felt he set out a strong team with the intention to win the game. That was clear. In terms of game management, I felt he made the right subs in the second half. He did try to change it, brought on, new attacking three, brought on Eze for Odegaard to change it. He did try. On some occasion, the players that come in, they have the impact, and on other occasions they don't. This was a game where the players that came on, they didn't have the impact that we hoped. And it was 0-0, we drew the game. I'm not throwing any shade on Arteta for that result. And thoughts on Liverpool, we know they are current champions. You always know playing Liverpool is a difficult game. We know that. I was just thinking, without Salah, Isaac and Etiquette, I felt that was the best chance to beat them. So yeah, obviously their game plan worked. They managed the game well, played smart. Nearly caught us on the counter on a couple of occasions. Yeah, and Bradley nearly scored as well, so we could have also lost the game. So yeah, Liverpool. Always have a lot of respect for Liverpool. Obviously they've fallen off massively this season to where they were last season. But I think they're unbeaten in 10 now. I feel like they are building up momentum. And I do feel they'll get top four. Like they'll secure top four. Don't know if they're title contenders this season. I think there's a big gap, but you never know. So yeah, next game we are in the FA Cup third round away against Portsmouth on Sunday, and it's a 2 p.m. kickoff. Expecting lots of rotation in this game, but I believe we should win comfortably. Of course, never take any team for granted. Like we've got to go there with a big performance and get the win to hopefully progress through to the FA Cup fourth round. And yeah, just like to say, as always, I appreciate anyone that took the time to listen to today's reflection. Hope you could connect with it. And please remember, if you haven't already, to subscribe, follow all my channels, IG, TikTok, YouTube. Like, please, it means a lot. And comment if you feel you want to comment, and share. And as always, come on, you Gunners. Peace.